Hey, how's it going? My name is Bryce Markle-Amaral. I'm a competitive rock climber and just some random guy that likes making videos. So today's video is all about trying to break down my previous competition, which was in Montreal, Canada. I'm at the Jackalope Fest. My goal is to analyze every single thing that happened for me at the competition that I think that I could improve on, right? You're gonna hear a lot of what will sound like complaining, but really I think that's the best way to learn. Basically just trying to think of all the things that you could maybe improve on or help you not make those mistakes or limit the chances of those mistakes happening at future competitions. None of these are excuses in that, like, if I would have done this or that, I would have gotten a better place or like beat that person. It has nothing to do with my ranking in that competition. It's just purely based off of like how well I think I did on each specific climb and just my climbing ability in general, regardless if I would have gotten the same place if these things were improved on. So just taking anything that I can to learn and just constantly get better so that I can hopefully do better at a different competition, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show the problems that I had in red, and then I'll discuss it. Then I'm gonna show possible solutions for future competitions in regards to what I just talked about in green. So to start off, I'm from Oregon, right? And so we don't get that much hot weather, and I'm just not used to the heat. It's mainly like rainy here most of the time and cold. And so this number may not be a lot to some people, but it was like 90 degrees there. So the boulders were covered. Male category's competing time was right when the sun went in the exact position that would shine directly on the boulders. So we were just, for like, I forget how long it was, like 2 or 3 hours, we were just completely in the sun trying these hard boulders, right? Which was very exhausting. Because of the sun during most of the competition, I like literally felt like I was gonna pass out. Like I had to take some time like and go in the back warm-up area and just literally just like lay down in the shade and just like take breathers and like drink lots of water and stuff because I thought I was gonna just like faint. And just like I said, I'm not really trying to use this as an excuse because every single person there had to climb in that heat, right? So it's not an excuse in that way, but just purely of how I felt I did, regardless if I would get the same exact position ranking wise. I just felt like I could have climbed a lot better if I didn't feel like I was gonna pass out, right? So that was one problem. Solutions to those for future ones, maybe researching a little bit more about the weather in the locations of the competitions before going there so I know what to expect. So if it's gonna be hot, maybe I can bring like extra water, and even like, I know that when I would like hike and stuff, we would have these like electrolyte type stuff. So maybe some little tablets like that, or maybe like sugary drinks. Also just personally doing a better job prior to the comp, drinking lots of liquids. I think that is something that I could improve on. And then honestly, I was thinking like some kind of like either, this is gonna sound weird, but like an umbrella thing or like to have some shade. I know I saw a couple people with those and that would have been super nice. And maybe like a little fan, you know? Or even those ones where they have those squirt bottles that are also a fan. I think that would be sick. So those are my possible solutions for in the future. Okay, now we're gonna get into the climbs themselves. So male one was shared with the female category, meaning we all had to do that climb. So it was this like super cool green route that had these like giant green holds, and it was basically mirrored. And so with this one, I didn't really struggle with anything until the top. Another goal for this video was to look at every single part that may have been difficult for me on each climb that I did and try and see if there's crossover, some similarities in different movement or hand placement, foot placement, to see if I can improve on those things to help me throughout all of the range of different climbs that I did. So this green one was pretty easy for me in the beginning, at least the beginning section. So you just start with both feet on these like tiny chips. You'd hit it like this, kind of like an opposing Gaston type positions. Then you start leaning or stemming your way up the giant footholds until you hit this crimp and this other side pull. Now this was the part that I was kind of struggling on, right? And I promise I'm not trying to be like a creep or anything like that. The female category went first, so I got some footage of them on their climbs. And during my climbing session, since I was actually trying to compete, I didn't get much footage of the male climbers on their climbs. So it was kind of a good thing that male one and female one was the same so that I could get this footage to kind of break down, not only for myself, but for you two to kind of analyze with me. So what I struggled with was going to the finish, the top hold. So I really struggled with that left foot hold and that right hand hold. So the left hand was on the crimp, felt solid. The right hand was in this position, which this position will come up a lot during this video, and we'll kind of break it down in a sec. So it basically was a slopey type of hold, right? And then the left foot was what I struggled on, and it was a very tiny foothold. So I have Bootora Gomis, and these are super great shoes. They're one of my favorites. They have tons of rubber, but they're really soft, right? They're great for smearing, they're great for volumes, they're bad at very small feet. Now obviously you can be super yoked and jacked and get so much stronger on your upper body to make up for this when you're trying to step on footholds, like small footholds. But in a competition, if I can just get something that can help me give that little extra edge or make it a little bit easier on me, I think I want to take it, right? So when my left foot was on that foot chip, it just didn't feel like this was gonna stay. Like I really struggled with trying to keep my foot on, and so I couldn't really apply force to it and stand up for the finish hold. So some solutions to that is I think I'm gonna buy a harder rubber shoe so that I can take the gomies as well as whatever shoe I get, so then I can just interchange them to whatever I think that route that I'm doing needs, right? So then maybe I could switch out for, like, even if it's just the left foot, right? To help me be able to step on those tiny footholds a little bit easier. Another thing I can work on, my leg strength. My legs are very weak and I have been training them a lot more, but I've neglected them for most of my climbing training. So just working on like getting stronger calves and just like maybe ankle stability, something that can help me apply pressure to holds and be more conscious of the pressure that I'm applying to smaller holds can help me as well. Be able to like trust the feet, have a little bit more stability in the ankles and stuff, and hopefully be able to make moves like that. Now the right hand. So the right hand was again like a little sloper move, and the position was kind of like this, right? Again, that's on me. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna lie to you or myself. I'm bad at slopers, and the reason I'm bad at slopers is because I tend to avoid them because I'm bad. And it's just this vicious cycle, right? I also have weak wrist strength because I don't work it. I can't really complain about it because I don't put in the work to fix it, so I don't think that's fair. But anyways, I struggled with trying to apply force in this way. I just couldn't hold that green hold on the right hand, and it didn't feel confident. So some solutions to that is I can hang on the Beastmakers, which is a type of hangboard, and they have positions that are just like this, and I can do basically sets on the hangboard to try and strengthen my sloper strength. I can also take plates in the weight room and hold them out like this and try and support them with my wrist by holding them straight out in front of me. That'll strengthen this position, which is the same thing as this basically. So I think that's what I need to implement in order to not let that happen again in the future. Male problem 2 was this crimp fest that I thought I was gonna demolish because I love crimps, and it was like my perfect route where there's just like crimps during the whole thing and just these like big dynamic moves, right? And I'm usually pretty confident because that's what I train the most. But I got kind of shot down on 2 specific things that actually were in the first route too. So again, we're trying to find similarities between issues that I had on multiple routes, so then I can figure out what I need to do for the future, right? This route started off pretty simple for me, where just a couple foot chips, you have handholds in an opposing position kind of like this, and then you just throw out to this huge dead point. This cool move where you kind of like smear and cross the left hand, and then after you cross, you hit the arete. And if you look what position my hand is in, it's exactly like the move that I was struggling on male 1. It was again that sloper position, but instead of a hold, it was the actual arete. So just like we talked about before, I need to train slopers in order to make that better. So that was the first issue, the right hand, and the solutions were the ones that we talked about previously. And then the foothold is dual textured, meaning that it's pretty slick and small at the same time. So you have a sloper position and a small foothold, both of the things that I struggled with the first route. Those were the issues that I had, and I just tried it over and over and over and just kept falling. And it was kind of frustrating because I love crimps, I feel super confident, and just that move to the finish hold, I just couldn't get. Either the foot would slip off or the hands would slip off, right? And my solutions to that is the same as the previous climb. Leg strength, as well as possibly looking into getting some harder rubber shoes. All right, on to male problem 3. This route was actually my warm-up. It was just the first route that I got on, but obviously I warmed up in the back prior to the competition a little bit, but this was just the easiest route that I thought I could do initially. I ended up finishing this route. I didn't feel like there's any issues with it. It was basically just starting on this really good hold, dynoing to a press move between a sloper and the wall, and then working your foot up, stemming until you get into a position that you can then reach for the finish hold. I do a lot of shoulder workouts, so I felt like my stability was very strong, and I think I was well prepared for this route. And having done just a lot of slab in my life, it was a very intuitive movement of trying to figure out foot placement and kind of stemming. So I didn't have much trouble with that. Okay, male 4, I actually don't even think I got a chance to hop on it. I was working on the other ones and maybe I tried it like one time and I just like didn't feel like it was worth waiting in this long line for it. I thought I would have a better chance of finishing other climbs instead of working on that. So I don't really have too much opinion about it other than the fact that I do know that it was a little bit slopier. So again, working on slopers, and it's also coordination moves. And coordination moves are something that I haven't really practiced too much. It's definitely a bigger thing that's growing more and more in the competition scene. That's something that I can kind of incorporate at the gym, maybe figuring out moves on slab where I can like do jumping moves or things that just like work out the legs in a more coordination type of way, right? So this one specifically was you're paddling off of slopers, and so again I can strengthen my sloper strength and also just work on my coordination moves, especially with paddle dynos. I love dynos, but any technical dynos where there's multiple moves, I haven't really practiced much, so that's something that I can integrate to be ready for the next time as well. Okay, next up is male 5. This red climb was on a slightly overhung wall. It was a super fun climb, and it may or may not have been fun because I finished it. No, but it actually had really cool moves. So it started off on like a pretty good hold. You go up right hand to this pretty decent like slopey crimp, and then it had this sick move where you like swing your body horizontally and then you toe hook with the left foot and cross underneath with the other hand to foot hand match. And at that point the sun is just like blaring right in your eyes and is like super annoying and stuff, but match and then hit another pretty decent crimp and just kind of do a small dyno to a flat hold pinch. And then you move to the erect, creating a compression movement, which I have struggled with compression and still do, but have struggled a lot in the past. So I was training that a lot prior to the competition, so I felt really confident with that compression movement. So I was in the gym doing a lot of dumbbell work, trying to recreate that movement of kind of pressing inward. So I felt really good on that. The erect didn't feel the best because of the reasons I talked about before, but it felt good enough, right? And then you hit the bump. Then I got a toe hook again to create compression, but instead of compression between the hands, it was compression between one hand and my toe. So then that allows me to release this limb and come in and match. And this was the part that I was falling on before, where you just kind of gotta like chuck yourself at this other pinch hold. And I wanted this route so bad. Like I knew I could do it. I was just like super tired and exhausted, and I literally gave it everything that I had. So you just hear me like power scream because I like refused to let go, right? And then I tried to get like a knee bar thing. I was just trying to like save energy, but then I just kind of like overthought it too much. And I was just like slightly panicking, right? Like panicking on the wall, moving my feet around. I'm trying to figure out the best position so that I didn't have to jump. But then in the end, I just ended up sending it and just trying to launch for the finish, which I'm glad was a decent hold because as soon as I caught that, I was like, yes. And then matched it and I was done. So I guess some things to work on from this route, like even if I finished it, like still just trying to break down places that I could kind of improve on. So I think a big thing was just the mental side of it, especially with like, I was just overthinking a lot of things. I was panicking. I was letting my fear of falling or worry of falling or like myself being pumped like get to me. So then I was making like rash decisions, you know? Like if someone saw me climbing at the gym, it's gonna look so much different than it did in that video. Like it literally looked like I was panicking on the wall. I'm gonna be honest, like that doesn't normally happen to me. And I think the nerves were just kind of getting to me in that moment. So being able to take deep breaths in the wall, kind of be deliberate with my breathing and controlling the mind, not letting those thoughts overwhelm my ability that I've been practicing on for a decade, you know? So that's something key to kind of work on too. Okay, the final problem, male problem 6, I did not get very far on. You can kind of see Timothy Kang in the background climbing this, and I can't really speak upon the beta, so you can just see Timothy Kang kind of go through it, which I don't think he finished it in this video, but he may have finished it in another attempt. And basically what was difficult for me is that now, instead of just this hand again being in this position, like if you look at those holds, it's the same as problem 1. So my hands are in this sloper position that we talked about, but now it's double and you're sideways with toe hooks. And I feel pretty confident with toe hooks. It's something that I've trained, but I still, it doesn't help when you can't create compression with your hands, no matter how strong your shins or like feet are to hold the toe hooks. So again, just doing that sloper training will help me with that. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think like these are obviously things that I'm just going over in my head, and my goal is not to just like complain and brag about it to you and just be like, yeah, that's the reason I didn't do as well. Like that's not the thought process at all. I just wanted to share kind of the thought process that happens inside my brain, trying to break down like, why did I fall here? Break down all the possibilities that could help me improve upon to be ready for the next competition, right? To always improve upon your failures. And walking away from this competition, although there were moments that I was like, damn, I feel like I could have done better or whatever, you know, if I had this, if I did this or whatever, if I trained that. Like, those things can't change in the moment, but what can change is what I can do now for the future. So I was just talking to one of my buddies about this, but I encourage you to really be aware of like how you're climbing, you know, like really break down the reasons why you're falling off of things. Maybe it's as simple as hold types, like slopers, you're not good at slopers, or you're not good at crimps or pockets or something like that. Or maybe you struggle with movements where your heel is turned to the left, like something as specific as that. Or maybe Gaston moves or lock off moves, right? And only from there can you break down exercises that can help you improve that specific thing, you know? And I totally understand, like, it's a hard thing to do. Like, it's so easy to go into the gym and only do the things you're good at, you know? Why do you think my legs are so weak? It's because I've always been training my upper body, and I go into the gym and I do pull-ups and it feels good. It feels good to be good at things, you know? Nobody likes to suck at things. But also, you kind of have to be bad at things and work through it in order to not be bad at them. So that's something that I've been trying to work on, you know. I would always be like, damn, like I'm training so hard, why am I still struggling and falling off of these moves? But if I really break it down, I know deep inside I haven't been training my weaknesses. How can I complain about falling on something that I continuously disregard and ignore? So yeah, so I just encourage you to really analyze your climbing, because that's the only way that you can get better, okay? So I don't usually say this, but if you enjoyed this video, please like this video. It really helps me know that you enjoy this content. And if you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. You know, let me know that you didn't like it. You can always reach out to me if you have questions. You can always leave comments about what you're doing. My goal is to help inspire and motivate and help people reach their goals. And if your comment can do the same for other people looking at this video, why not create this cool community? So I just appreciate you and your support. As always, there's links down below with like protein powders and different equipment that I use and climbing gear and all that for you to check out. And keep up that unseen training, right? That training for all those people that are doing it late nights, early mornings, when nobody's watching, right? But you're continuously striving after your goals without recognition for those specific moments, right? But that's what it takes, you know? So keep up that unseen training and continuously believe in the vision that you have for yourself in the future, okay? I believe in you. See ya.